Pistons, or it could be the Celtics with Larry Bird and additional pieces. It could be MJ. It could be the Spurs with Tim Duncan, Kobe and Shaq Lakers. There was the Magic, Kareem Lakers. The Heatles got close to being a dynasty, and then, of course, the Warriors dominated a decade, getting to the finals many times. And those days now are apparently over. Welcome to 2019 and beyond. We will have the 6th NBA champion in 6 years. Now, I think the NBA has more talent than it's ever had, especially European talent. A lot of good bigs, but it's spread out throughout the league. What you saw yesterday does not happen much. A defending champ with the best player in the world at home evaporating in the second half. It just doesn't happen. You got the best player. You got a good staff. You're defending champs. Most of us think you have the best team, and they just dried up. Denver, multiple times in this series, just got embarrassed. The first 2 games of this series, they were pushed around. They lost 3 of 4 at home. And let's be honest, yesterday, offense, third quarter, dried up. The T-Wolves deserve the credit. A lot of this is the construction of the roster. It's really good. 2 bigs, one a defender, one a scorer. A dynamic, emerging superstar on the wing. Good bench, athleticism, length, high IQ veteran point guard. So a guy named Tim Connolly built Denver's roster to a championship level, then took a better gig with Minnesota and very intentionally built a roster to beat the roster he built, to thwart Jokic. And in some instances, he did. The T-Wolves are very intentionally built. When they came in with 2 bigs, one all defense, the other great offense. You know, you start looking from Naz Reid on, they're really built with a purpose. You know, a lot of times you watch NBA teams, Phoenix, and there's just duplication everywhere. There's not here. I do think offensively they probably have to look at getting another dependable, a Pippen to MJ, and somebody beyond him when he has those rare off shooting nights. But the Nuggets now, still a very good team. The game went down to the wire. Game went to 7. But they have to go back to the drawing board. Gordon didn't give them anything offensively. Jamal Murray was very, very good early, not as much late. Jokic needs help. They need a better bench. So they'll be fine, but we have to go back to the drawing board. It tells you how well constructed the T-Wolves are. That Ant really played poorly offensively yesterday, and they still rolled over the champs on the road. That's about roster construction, that Ant doesn't have to. And this was always the key with Jordan's Bulls. Michael, on most nights, was not only the best player, but would hit the big shot. But it was when they got a Paxson or a Kerr or a Kukoc. They got Rodman, who had a specialty. It wasn't just about Pippen. It was Phil Jackson understanding that you need elements to a championship team. And Denver had those last year. But with the emergence of Ant, who is now a better player and an elite defender, Denver did not have enough. So,
okay, there's a lot to unpack here. I feel like I'm going to go insane on this one because I'm watching this clip and I'm thinking, okay, I want to talk about the Timberwolves, and then I want to talk about the Nuggets, and then he's saying all these things. So let me take it by memory first. What he's saying, all I do is hear his excuses now for Jokic. And we can't pick and choose when we want to apply, when to play the rules, when to apply the rules, or what the expectations are. Because he's saying Jokic needs more help. All of a sudden now, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., all of these guys aren't good enough now? Why do you not then afford that same level of grace to LeBron James when he has a bunch of scrubs in the Lakers? Or Joel Embiid? I mean, Joel Embiid has never played with someone as good as Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, like a team that complete like that. He had Jimmy Butler for 5 minutes. You know, let's stop pretending. And Jimmy Butler didn't play good. And same thing with James Harden. He had James Harden, an old James Harden who notoriously disappears during the playoffs. And yet you hold, you know, a Joel Embiid's feet to the fire. It always comes down to Embiid. And then same thing even for LeBron. And before anyone says you're a LeBron fanboy, I am not. I rip LeBron apart all the time. I had Nuggets winning this series against the Lakers without a doubt. So I'm not a LeBron fan. But if you're going to say, hey, you know, Jokic can only do so much and he has to be able to have a bad game and still win, well, then you have to say the same stuff about Embiid, LeBron James, KD. He's ripped KD recently. And it's like, what else do you want KD to do? You have him with a bunch of scrubs. Like what he almost willed the New York Nets to the finals, and it's like, what do you want him to do? He doesn't have big, strong, physical players in their prime who are well coached like Jokic had here. So it's just you can't do that. You can't pick and choose when you want to apply this. You know, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And then the Timberwolves. The other thing that is making me want to go nuts. Yes, if the Timberwolves want to build maybe like a dominant dynasty, then yes, getting another big-time player makes sense. But stop acting like Cat is not a big-time player. Stop acting like Cat is not a Pippen in this regard, and Ant is the up-and-coming Jordan. Because Cat was hugely important for this game. He was the one that was playing great defense against Jokic. He was the one that was keeping the Timberwolves in this game in Game 7. Having big-time shots, big-time dunks, big-time threes. He was the one that was keeping them relevant when the game easily could have gone either way. You even heard Reggie Miller talking about that, where he was just like, the game could go either way at this moment. And Cat was the one that was keeping them in and engaged and actually had that mature veteran, especially veteran scoring presence. So stop, like, why are we not giving Cat any flowers? I don't think he mentioned Cat this entire time. You have to mention Cat. He's wildly important. And it's like, I don't understand why it's like cool to like hate on Cat. I mean, I really don't understand. And I think it's because like he couldn't win a championship alone, which we've just already now established that you need help. We're making excuses for Jokic. And like, we're just supposed to say like, well, Cat wasn't good enough. He needed help. And we say it like it's a bad thing. Like every player needed help. So I just take issue with the framing of all of this, you know, from the whole thing. Now to address it from the Nuggets standpoint, and I maintained this in the middle of the season, beginning of the season for the NBA, where I said, listen, we're going to find out who the Denver Nuggets are. I said, because the Denver Nuggets last season I said they were a great team. They're obviously a great team, but and I said this, I don't know if they're on the levels of the Spurs of the old, the Miami Heat of the old, the most recent dynasty being the Golden State Warriors. And I said they took advantage last season of a old NBA and a young NBA. They took advantage of these other good teams that are really young. OKC, Minnesota Timberwolves. And then they took advantage of the older stars of the league. Golden State Warriors, old. The Lakers, LeBron James, old. That matters. And then, you know, out east, there's really not a whole lot going on. And again, you also are taking advantage now of like a young, weirdly constructed Miami Heat team that probably shouldn't have even been there in the first place. Giannis got injured, all of that type of stuff. Who really knows if he was fully healthy and played them, would Miami Heat even make it? So I said, listen, we're going to find out if the Nuggets and Jokic are really that good as everyone thinks they are, because the true greats, whether it's the LeBron James teams, they go to multiple finals. You know, and maybe they don't win them all, because he implied that the Miami Heat were in a dynasty. I think they were. When you go to, what did he go to? Was it 4 championships, right? 4 in a row. Like, that's a dynasty. He lost the first one, won the 2, and then lost the fourth one, the second and third, and then won the fourth one. Like, that's a dynasty. I don't think you have to win 3, 4 for it to be a dynasty. Like, they got to the playoffs. I mean, they got to the finals 4 years in a row. That's legit, right? And we know that to be the case, because the Nuggets weren't even able to do that. The Nuggets weren't even able to go back to the championship back-to-back times. When you compare it to the Heat or the Nuggets, or I'm sorry, the Warriors or the Spurs, like, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Even if you're not winning them all in the row, at least they're just getting there at a rapid pace. And so, you know, that's what happened. And I said that this is going to be the best chance for the Nuggets to be able to repeat, because the Timberwolves are still technically young. OKC, still technically young. The Warriors are still old. LeBron is still old. Like, you're going to be able to take advantage of the old teams still, and the young teams, you should try your best to be able to hopefully still be able to take advantage of. Now, next season, the Timberwolves should be just as great, if not better, because Ant is going to take a step up. OKC is going to take a step up. Dallas Mavericks are coming. They should be taking a step up. So it's just going to get harder for everyone. Then there's a couple other younger teams that are potentially up and coming. You know, who really knows who will be like the next OKC or the next Timberwolves. So I always remained, and I was talking about this with someone in the comments before, that I think the Nuggets are great, and I think that, you know, I don't think they were ever as elite or great as everyone thought they were, but I remained saying that I thought that the Timberwolves were going to win this series. And to be very clear, it's about Minnesota's greatness and not the Nuggets' lack of greatness. You know, I saw another clip on I think it was like First Take or something, which I'm not going to review, but it was just like, was this more about the collapse of the Nuggets or the win of the Timberwolves? And it was about the Timberwolves. Be very clear about that. The Nuggets weren't just playing poorly for the sake of playing poorly. It was the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are a greatly constructed team with great players that know how to play great basketball, and they have Ant, who is a great young talent, and they have veterans who are great in Gobert, Conley, Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, it's a great team. A great team. And I think I said this before. I said the winner of this series will win the NBA Finals. And I stand by that. I think the Mavericks have a better chance at beating the Timberwolves than the Nuggets, even though I think the Timberwolves are a better team. And that's because I do trust the Nuggets' experience. I know it didn't work out for them, but Jokic is a bona fide seasoned veteran. Jamal Murray is, Gordon. These players they've been there. They know what it takes to win the finals. They know that they can drop 2 home games and still, you know, to open the series, have the whole world say this is a disaster, they're failing, they're going to get swept, and then push it to game 7. You know, like that can't be understated. I'm not so sure Minnesota has that because they've never shown it to me. Right. So I have no reason. It's not to say that I think Minnesota would just get cooked, but I do think Minnesota being a younger team, Ant being a younger player, it makes sense that you have that risk that they could. So that's why I think the Dallas Mavericks technically have a better chance at beating Minnesota, even though Minnesota to me is a better team than Denver. And I had Minnesota winning this series. So I'm really excited for this series. I really think Minnesota should put a hurting on the Dallas Mavericks. I do not think the Mavericks are that good of a team. They definitely are. I won't talk about the Mavericks too much right now. We'll save that for another clip. But I think Minnesota has this game, this series. And I really think outside of any random injuries or something really fluky, I just would be shocked if the Timberwolves end up losing this. So I definitely got the Timberwolves. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think the Nuggets actually have legitimate excuses, specifically Jokic, as to why they couldn't win and why there wasn't back-to-back? Or do you think that this is more about the Minnesota Timberwolves and what they're able to accomplish and who they are? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.